Simple. To be, or as they say, to move or not to move to Philadelphia. That might be something you're thinking about, maybe not thinking about. Either way, if open spaces and a laid back environment is what you're looking for, Philly might not be what you need. And that's important to remember. So let's talk about 5 different reasons why Philly might not be for you. Let's get right into it. Number 1, high cost of living. Yeah, it's pretty expensive to live in Philadelphia. It really is compared to, a smaller town. I'm from a small town called Binghamton, New York. And when I first moved here and I heard rents were like $100,000, I was like, this is crazy. You could rent like a 2-bedroom apartment in Binghamton, New York for about $250, and here I'm spending almost $1,000. It's expensive to live here. And then throw in the fact that you have utilities, such as Philadelphia Electric, Philadelphia Gas. Well, we call PICO, is really what we call it. We call it PICO when it comes to electric. You have the Philadelphia Gas Company, you have the water, Philadelphia Water Department. Those are your 3 main utilities that you have to deal with. Some of these houses in Philadelphia do have oil. There's not a lot of them anymore. Most of them have gas or electric, baseboard, electric air handlers. So you have to think about that. But you also got to remember, taxes are pretty high. And when you're buying here, I will tell you, people are starting to complain because they keep doing reassessment of the taxes here. So taxes have started to go up. It used to be really low taxes here when it comes to real estate. School taxes were low, regular real estate taxes were low, but that's slowly but surely creeping up. It used to be like the suburbs were way more expensive compared to Philadelphia. So people were looking on a budget, were looking Philadelphia, not the suburbs because of taxes. But I could tell you taxes in Philadelphia have gone up a lot. And remember, and I talked about this in a previous video, you do have city wage taxes. If you live in Philadelphia and work in Philadelphia, you will get slapped with a city wage tax. Now, if you work in Philadelphia and live outside of Philadelphia, you still get the city wage tax, but a little bit less. Now, I can also tell you when you're buying a house or selling a house in Philadelphia, the transfer tax rate has gone up again. Boo. But it has gone up. It's still like top 3 in the United States. On the buyer side, it was 2.14. Same thing, 2.14. And the seller side has now gone up effective, I think, July 1st of 2025. It went up to 2.289. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot, but it's still, I mean, it used to be a 4% years ago, but it's just slowly creeping up. And Philadelphia it's becoming more and more expensive to live here. Still not as expensive as San Francisco, Washington, D.C. I was talking to a client of mine. They are now looking to move down to D.C. area. And he was telling me like a little 3-bedroom house right in D.C., outside of D.C. in a good school district. It's around $1 million. Yes, $1 million. I mean, that's insane for a little 3-bedroom, 1,500 square foot house. While in Philadelphia, you can get anywhere from $175,000 up to, $1 million too, but you can still get a decent 1,200 square foot house, 3 bedrooms, 1.5, 2 baths for way less than that. So it's getting expensive to live in Philadelphia. It's not the cheapest, definitely not as cheap as it used to be. As a wallet friendly, yes, compared to other big cities. But if you're coming from a smaller town and you're moving here, you will get a little bit of sticker shock, especially when it comes to the taxes and the expenses of buying a house. And then that'll throw you around. You do have the same thing. Groceries, obviously, is usually more expensive here. Tuition, school tuition, college tuition, private school tuition. It does add up. And if you're living here too, you got to remember, if you own a car, a lot of these townhouses, they don't have parking. The newer ones that they're starting to build, they've been building for the last couple of years, usually come with parking. Little garage to squeeze your car in, and that's good. But the older homes usually don't have any kind of parking. And that means you either park on the street or you put your car in the garage, monthly fee garage. I know people who got townhouses, condos in Philadelphia where, if the building doesn't have parking, they a lot of times are forced to park on the street or pay for a monthly parking garage. And that's, again, just adding things. A lot of people look at the price and go, oh my God, I can get this for $300,000. That's amazing, but where am I parking my car? Well, I'm gonna park it in the street. Then you have the hassle with parking on the street. Now, all right, I'm gonna put it in a parking garage. Great, now I'm paying $175 to up to $400 or $500 a month. just to park it. Especially if it's a car you're not using, then I would always tell people, like, if you're not gonna really use it, maybe sell it. Get rid of it. You know, money can get real tight real fast here. Going out and doing things in the city of Philadelphia has become more expensive. There's a great nightlife here, but in reality, it's getting more and more expensive, so you gotta keep that. Let's talk about the next thing. One of my favorite things, winters, weather. I will tell you, as I'm doing this video right now, we're probably gonna have one of the hottest days of the year. So we do have, you know, temperatures are gonna be around 100. Humidity is gonna be high. It's turning into a sweaty day, and it's probably gonna be like that for the rest of the week. July's been pretty hot, I'm not gonna lie. It's been up in the 90s a lot, 95, 100. Humidity, throw that in there. I feel like I'm in Florida. I've been to Florida many times, and I feel like, hey, you know, it's pretty hot up here. People think, oh, you're close to the mountains, we're close to the Poconos. How bad could it be? It gets pretty damn hot up here. Don't fool yourself. It will, and it will be like that probably through August. In September, it cools down a little bit. September is usually really good weather here. Then we go into October, cools down a little bit, still like, you know, 65, 70, less humidity. But then winter comes around, and winter is weird here. As I said before, I'm from upstate New York. I mean, I've seen snow in September. I've seen snow in May, first week in May. I've experienced snow. By living in upstate New York, I've experienced snow in first week in May. I'll never forget, I was driving to college, and the snowstorm squall came through and just, you know, dusted us. We didn't get it a lot, but it was like May 3rd or something like that. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. One of the reasons I moved a little further south was I hate snow. And if you hate snow, you'll have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with the winter time, because last couple winters have been real mild. We got a couple of snowstorms. When I say snowstorms, probably like 6 to 8 inches. Sometimes we get walloped with a good foot and a half of snow. And it usually doesn't last very long. Usually snow periods like January, February. If you can make it through November, December, a lot of cold weather, very few snowstorms. If I say snowstorms, talking maybe 2, 3, 5 inches of snow. Like I said, once in a while it gets walloped. Now the thing is too with Philadelphia, being from a state where they know how to snowplow, being here in Philadelphia, it's frustrating because they don't know how to plow here. I don't care what anybody says, they just don't. Like when you're from a snowy area, first of all, school usually doesn't get canceled because unless you get like 2 feet of snow if you're from a snowy area. Around here, it might get canceled at 6 inches because they don't know how to plow. Like it's so frustrating. There's snow everywhere. Like the street's supposed to be cleared and salted, and they're not. And it makes me crack up because if it starts snowing here like 1 p.m. on a Thursday, and let's say it stops 10 p.m. Thursday night. You expect by Friday morning, things to be nice, clear, and ready to go, because that's what I'm used to, where I'm from. You know, like if it would snow for 6, 7 hours during the day, by the next day, it's like, you get your car out, you shovel it out a little bit, and you hit the road, and usually the roads are really clear. Here, it's a pain. It's ugly. It really is with the snow everywhere. They might plow once, and then they might have plowed in the middle of the snowstorm, but then they don't come back again. So you kind of have like, you know, a couple of inches of snow you're driving on, and then they throw salt on top of that, and then more snow gets on top of the salt. It just turns into a wet mess a lot of times. And it's frustrating because you're trying to get to work, or you're trying to get to school, or wherever you're trying to go. Like, to the point now, the good thing is like more employers are saying, hey, you can work from home. Great, work from home, do that. But at the same time, some employers, listen, they don't mess around. Like, you better be there. You know, if you're a nurse or you're a doctor and you're on duty, you're on call, you got to be at the hospital, you're going to have a messy car. You're going to have a messy trip. You're going to have a messy car. Parking in Philadelphia with the winter is a pain. Like, it really is. It's a pain because parking is bad enough. And then you'll see a lot of people in Philadelphia, they like to use cones and lawn chairs, and they mark their spot in front of the house. Now, mind you, it's a public road, so you don't own that spot in front of your house. That's not your spot. But it's been a common thing. It's been going on for years where people are like, all right, my house is right here. I'm gonna put my cone or my chair right here, and you better not move it, because if you do, I'm coming out, we're having an argument. And by the way, I get it one way, because if you get a lot of snow and you able to get your car out of that spot, you want to keep that spot because you shoveled that spot, you cleaned that spot, and you don't want anybody else to take advantage of that nice clean spot that you have in front of your house. But unfortunately, it is public transportation, it's public roadway, so you really can't claim it. I've never done it, but I know a lot of friends and family have done it over the years, and what am I gonna say? Like, I don't blame you. My mom used to do it all the time. She cleaned out her spot and she wouldn't move her car. Now, if she did move her car, she would put a chair or a cone. You see that a lot when you're driving through Philadelphia. You're like, well, what's all this garbage on the street? Well, that's cones and people claiming their spot, and God forbid you don't ever take their spot. We do have the we have 4 seasons here. We have spring, we have a nice spring. This spring, I will tell you, rained a lot. Sometimes it's very beautiful. It gets real warm sometimes and right in March, and then keeps on going. This past March, April, it was cold. It was cold here for the temperatures were way below the averages. So going back to the winter thing, I always tell people, listen, if you move here, have 3 things: good pair of winter boots, snow shovel, and salt. Why do I say salt? I'm gonna emphasize salt because if you own a home in Philadelphia, you have 24 hours to clean that snow off your sidewalk. And it doesn't take long, by the way. Like, it's nothing. A lot of houses here don't have driveways, so you're not shoveling driveways. You're just shoveling a little that walkway you have in front of your house and your steps, because you gotta make sure your steps are clear for the mailman. So make sure you check that out, make sure that is done. And of course, listen, if you're looking to move here, or you're looking to leave here, it's my information. Hit me up. Give me a call, send me a DM, send me an email. Let me know how I can help, all right? And also, don't forget, subscribe. Smash that like button. And number 3, job market. So I don't understand when people move here without jobs. I don't get it. Get it in one way because you're kind of like, I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna sell my stuff. I'm gonna move to the city of Philadelphia for different reasons. And try to have a job lined up. We have major employers here. We have a lot of big time employers here. So make sure you apply for them, for those jobs, but try to get that set up. I will tell you, some employers, depending on your position, depending on your job, they will sometimes pay for relocation. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. If they don't, make sure you got a little money saved up for a year's worth of rent. If that's what you plan on doing, a lot of employers will work with you on that. Some are corporate housing. I know some major corporate offices will do corporate apartments for about a year or so, anywhere from 6 to 12 months, just to set you up so you can get acclimated, get that going, get your life going with the career, and get your job moving. And having a corporate housing is great for a while. I always tell people, like, listen, if you're gonna move here and you're not sure if you're gonna buy, you're gonna rent, I always say rent for 6 months, 12 months. If you can't find an apartment complex that does a 6-month rent, maybe look into like an Airbnb, short-term rental for 6 months before you buy. But I also have clients, people call me up and say, hey, we're moving, we're coming from Utah, we're coming from California, we got a job and we need to find some place to live. Obviously, you're gonna hit me up and say, hey, we need to be in a place by certain dates. We gotta hit the ground running, and I help a lot of people do that. So don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, we're doing the same thing. We're moving from New York, we're moving from DC, from Florida. We're coming to the area because we'll be working on such and such corporation, and if we need to find a place to live, we would prefer to buy. For renting, cool. I'll set you up with a nice little search for that. We'll find you a nice little rental for the time being, and hopefully, down the road you'll buy something. But like I said, it is real important to try to have a job lined up. Like, moving without a job here, it can get expensive real quick. And next thing you know, you're going, I didn't find a job. So next thing you know, you're moving back home. And you're living with your parents again. So let's try to avoid that. Let's try to find something we love to live. All right, let's get it on. Number 4, pollution, cleanliness. We're a big city, so yeah, do we have pollution? Absolutely. Cleanliness started to become a little bit better. When I moved down here I'm a transplant myself, moved back here in 1999, many years ago. And they literally would have street cleaners once a week come through and clean all the streets, all of them. Like, Philadelphia was way cleaner back in the day. There was less cars. So what I mean by that, so the pollution was down, but everybody has like 2 or 3 cars to each household. So what does that do? Increases pollution, but it also increases the dirtiness of the street. I mean, I've literally sat at traffic lights and I've watched people take their fast food bags and just roll down the window and just throw it out in the street. Like, I've seen it more than once, seen it several times, and it just blows my mind. Like, why are you doing that? Like, yeah, I know you don't do that at home. It's not like you're sitting in your house and just open the window and throw the garbage out the window. Like, you put it in the trash, and people just sometimes have no respect for the street. And it's frustrating to watch that. You know, it's like, it's disgusting, first of all. That's how you get rats. And yes, we have rats in Philadelphia. I want to point that out. We do have rats. We have some pretty big ones. I've seen bigger in New York City. I have at Penn Station, Grand Central Station, in the streets of New York City. I've seen huge rats. Here, they're pretty big. It's like little alleyways in Center City that, you know, sometimes you take for a shortcut. There's less people walking, so you kind of sneak down an alleyway. And I know there's a lot of complaints, and there's a lot of push for the City Hall to turn around and say, hey, let's do something better with our alleyways, because they're lined up with dumpsters. The businesses, the restaurants, you know, all the different businesses, they have dumpsters. A lot of them have small little dumpsters behind in the back door in the alleyway, and that's where they throw the garbage away until it gets emptied out. What does that attract? It attracts rats and bugs and cockroaches and stuff like that. So we have it. Listen, Philadelphia is like the 6th largest city in the United States. So yes, there's rats here. There's people who just don't give a crap about the streets, and they just throw garbage on the street. And going back to what I was talking about, when I first moved here, they cleaned all the streets. And then we had a mayor come along, and he said we can't afford it anymore. And he stopped all the cleanliness and all street cleaning. And then slowly but surely, it got a little bit better with the next mayor. They do a lot of the street cleaning in Center City and surrounding areas. The current mayor, she's trying to expand that, trying to find money to expand that. And I hope to continue that, because sometimes you drive some of these streets and you think you're driving through like just a straight up dumpster, like it's bad. It's just, but I also feel like there should be a little bit of a grassroots movement when it comes to cleaning up after yourself. Like, we should be pushing for more garbage cans, like public garbage cans. But it's Philly, so they have a tendency just to blow them up with an M80, or, you know, just destroy them, vandalize them. But I feel like that if there was more of a push for that, I think that would help a lot. This street cleaning, frustrating. It's disgusting. Like, sometimes you're parking your car and you feel like you're parking around on top of a whole bunch of trash when you're on the street. So keep an eye on that. Understand when you come in here, that's what you're gonna see. Number 5, last but not least, I would say homelessness and poverty. Yes, we have homeless people here. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. Again, we're a big city, so yeah, you'll be sitting at certain traffic lights and you'll see homeless people with cardboard signs walking up to you asking for change. When you're in Center City, they'll stand on the corners, or it's just part of Philly. And it's like that a lot. I mean, tell me what big city you don't go into the United States that doesn't have homeless people walking around begging. You know, you treat it as it is. You treat it as part of Philadelphia. We do have poverty here too. At one point, we had a major problem over on Frankfurt Street and over in Kensington and Frankfurt, where Kensington Avenue and Frankfurt Street, where the previous mayor would kind of push all the drug users over there so they kind of control them. And what was happening is the police were basically just kind of guarding it, keeping an eye on all the drug users, making sure they weren't harming themselves or each other, but they were using just freely out in the streets. And the previous mayor felt that, like, by doing that, at least we can control that population, but we're not gonna, the problem was we didn't do anything with it. And the new mayor came along and she swept them away. Some unfortunately stayed. They came back, they stayed, they came back, or they just kind of went down an alleyway and started using three blocks over. Is it better when you drive through there? Yes. Is it still great? No. Those areas used to be, back in the day, used to be booming commercial buildings, business going on, a lot of mom and pop shops over there. There's still a lot of mom and pops, furniture stores, restaurants, pizza places, clothing stores and stuff like that, hair stores, barber shops, hair salons. Like, it's still a lot up and down Frankfurt Avenue, but unfortunately it's gotten less over the years, because at one point, I mean, the drug users were taking over. I mean, they were passing out in the middle of the street. Like, you would sit at a traffic light, and next thing you know, we call them zombies here. You'd see them kind of coming down and coming down the side street, and you're just kind of like, oh my God, please don't pass out in front of my car, because then I gotta touch you, move you, go around you. But I've seen them pass out in the middle of the street, side of the street, half body on the sidewalk, the other half on the street. It's very discouraging to see, and it's, you know, it's not the best thing in the world to see, but we're trying to make an attempt there. They're trying to find more homeless people, housing for them to stay. We do have some housing encampments. There's probably at least 3 or 4 that I know about. And they're big ones too, by the way. There were a lot more at one point, but the new mayor came in and moved a lot of them out of here, try to provide housing for them, and trying to get them out of the city, get them treatment as needed, and finding some housing solutions for them. Is it working? Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, it's probably working. Could it be better? Absolutely, it could be way, way, way better. But you know, again, it's the city of Philadelphia. If you're moving here, the people that struggle moving here, first of all, Cowboy fans. Like, don't ever tell people you're a Cowboy fan around here. Like, it's crazy. I'm not an Eagles fan, but I'm definitely not a Cowboys fan. I'm sorry, I'm a Giants fan. I'm originally from New York, so yes, the Giants. Big heart for the Giants. You can put all your negative comments you want on here, go Eagles, whatever, doesn't matter. That's fine, but don't be a Cowboys fan. That's always the rule here. Whatever you do, do not be a Cowboys fan. Because if you're a Cowboys fan, they will hate on you big time. But when you do move here, and if you do think about moving, you are thinking about moving here, again, hit me up, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, but hit me up. Contact info is right here. Give me a call, send me a DM, a little email. Don't send me smoke signals. I can't read them. I don't understand them. So don't do that. Don't send me a fax. I don't have a fax number. All right, you just get my phone number here, my email address here. But anyway, getting back to Philadelphia, you know, talk about moving here. It could be real stressful. And I tell people all the time, if you're moving here, you want to embrace the community, you want to embrace the city. By doing that, it makes your life easier. If you're fighting not to embrace it, if you're not kind of like throwing yourself headfirst into the city, you will struggle to relocate here. You will struggle to acclimate to the city of Philadelphia because there's so much going on and it's a big city. Especially if you come from a smaller town. Like I came from a smaller town here, and I remember when I first came here, you know, almost every weekend I would go home. I'm like, oh, I can't stay here on the weekends. Like, no, this is crazy. Like I would pretty much go home every weekend, every other weekend. But after a while, like you started making some friends at work. They're kind of like, hey, we're going out Saturday. You want to tag along? And it's like, oh, I was gonna go home, but sure. And then next thing you know, you start making some friends. And then, I don't know, within a year, I just kind of threw myself into the community of the aspect of doing things, going, seeing things. There's still a lot of things I haven't seen. There's still a lot of things I still haven't visited, haven't seen. But as I'm staying here longer and longer, more and more years, I've lived here for going on 26 years now. But there's a couple things I still haven't had a chance to enjoy, but I will, slowly but surely. But I know people who move here, they jump right in. I mean, they go see all the sights and, you know, take in all the sounds and everything and love it. But those people that don't do that, they struggle mightily. And then they end up calling me and saying, hey, we need to sell the house because we're moving back or we're moving here because Philly is not for us. And I like to ask, like, hey, well, what did you do? Like, oh, we didn't really do anything. Well, that's probably why. City isn't for everybody, but if you throw yourself into it, get yourself involved with the community, doing things, find some new friends, I think you're gonna love it. So anyway, those are the 5 things that you might want to look for when it comes to Philadelphia. Thanks so much for watching my video. As always, subscribe, hit me up, give me a call. Make sure you follow the next video. I got tons of them. Let me know whatever I can do for you. Talk to you on the other side.